Greetings, YouTube. So it seems that some Democrats have decided they need to investigate what they view as possible insider trading when it came to the tariff ups and downs that we have experienced as of late. And my response to that was to look at them and go, possible? Because the tariffs that were imposed in the case of China, 145% is the current tariff, and the tariffs that were still being imposed across the board at 10%. And the other tariffs that were being applied to every other country by different margins, including an island with nothing but penguins in it and one that only has a U.S. military base on it. Um, they were all about shaking up the market, scaring people. And what did those people do? They sold. And they sold a lot. It's some of the deepest falls of the stock exchanges in history. I think it ranked in the top 5, if I remember correctly. And then 3 days later, Trump announced that he's taking a 90-day pause on most of them, except for China and, of course, the 10% tariff that goes across the board. And in the process, he and his family and all the billionaires have just made huge amounts of money because they bought up all those things that were being sold cheap because people were terrified. That's how this works. They create the fear, people act on that fear, and then the billionaires profit. Now remember, you can't become a billionaire in any form of moral or ethical manner. It's not possible. A person can only become a billionaire because others live in poverty, abject poverty in some cases. Otherwise, you can't have billionaires. If everyone lived a solid life where they had the things they need to live with and there was never anyone who was too poor or too rich, there would be no billionaires. And there are some folks that need to see those little numbers go up to have some sense of worth, which is rather sad, but also toxic and dangerous for both the planet and our species. So I think the important thing to remember, this wasn't a possible insider trading action on the part of Trump and his advisors and his family and his friends. That's what it was. The most blatant and worst one in history. And it should be treated as such. And all those that were involved should be arrested. But of course, Trump and his brown shirts control everything. There is no one to file charges against them. There is no one to prosecute them. There is no one to jail them because they control everything. Because Americans didn't do their job and kicked them out of power. So now this is where we are. But make no mistakes. This was not a possible insider trading act. It was quite deliberate.